Welcome to 21st Sports recap and reaction for Game 5 of the ALDS between the Texas Rangers and the Toronto Blue Jays, played October 14th, 2015. We're going to go over every at-bat and the stats and give our breakdown and analysis. What a crazy game this was. What a crazy series. The first two games were won by the Rangers in Toronto, and then the Blue Jays bounced back to win two games in Texas, and now here we were in Game 5 as a road team had won every game so far in this series, and the Jays were hoping to make it 3 games in a row won and to break that road game streak that had been going on so far through the first 4. But on the mound for Toronto, Marcus Stroman, and on the mound for Texas, Cole Hamels. Let's get started off in the top of the first. Delano DeShields led off the game with a double. Choo then grounded out. And then Prince Fielder grounded into a fielder's choice, but DeShields scored. And so it was 1-0 Texas. Beltre then grounded into a fielder's choice. Fielder out at second, and Moreland flew out. And that would do it for the top of the first, but not after the Rangers had put a run on the board. So now in the bottom of the first, Hamels would set the side down in order. He got Revere to ground out, Donaldson struck out, and Bautista flew out. So on to the top of the second. Josh Hamilton drew a walk, and then Andrews bunted into a fielder's choice, and Hamilton was out at second. Odor then hit a single, but then Jimenez struck out, and Andrews was caught trying to steal third. So that would do it for the top of the second. So now the bottom of the second, Edwin Encarnacion would walk. Colabello then hit a single. And so now he had 2 on, no outs, runners on first and second for Tulowitzki. He would strike out, Martin flew out, and Pilar struck out. So that would do it for the second. So now it's to the top of the third. Delano DeShields would ground out. Shin-Soo Choo then went deep over the right field wall, 389 feet to make it 2-0 Rangers over the Blue Jays. Stroman would then get the next batter outfielder to ground out, but then Beltre hit a single, but Moreland flew out, and that would do it for the top of the third, but not after the Rangers had added another run to make it a 2-0 game. So now the bottom of the third, Goins would strike out, and Revere would reach on an infield single. Donaldson then grounded out, and then Bautista came up. Bautista hit a double. He drove in Revere. A close play at home, but he was safe. And so now Bautista actually just slid into second. That was a close one too, as he stretched that one into a double. Encarnacion was then intentionally walked, and Colabello grounded out, and that would do it for the bottom of the third. But the Blue Jays had cut the lead to 1 with the score 2-1 after 3. So now on the top of the fourth, Stroman would set down on the side in order as he got Hamilton to fly out, Andrews grounded out, and Odor would ground out. So now at the top of the fourth, Hamels would set down the side in order as Tulo grounded out, Martin flew out, and Pilar struck out. So now at the top of the fifth, Jimenez would reach on an infield single. DeShields grounded into a fielder's choice, and then Shin-Soo Choo and Fielder would strike out each, respectively, as Stroman would end the inning with 2 strikeouts in the inning. And now we are on to the bottom of the fifth. Hamels would end up setting the side down in order, getting Goins to struck out. Revere was out on a bunt as he bunted out to third, and Beltre made the play. Donaldson then flew out, and that would do it for the fifth. So now to the top of the sixth. Stroman still on the mound for the Jays, struck out Beltre. Moreland grounded out. Then Josh Hamilton hit a double. Andrews would then ground out, and that would do it for the top of the sixth. So now the bottom of the sixth, Bautista would fly out, will foul out to short. And so then we had Edwin Encarnacion come up, and Encarnacion goes deep over the left field wall to tie up this game with a moonshot, 457 feet into the upper deck. So it was 2-2. Colabello would strike out, and Tulo would strike out, but not after Encarnacion had tied it up. So it's tied up at 2-2 heading into the 7th. And this is where things get crazy in the 7th inning, both in the top and the bottom halves of the inning. But to start off in the top of the 7th, Aaron Sanchez would come in to relieve Stroman for the Jays on the mound. Odor would reach on a single. Jimenez would then sacrifice Odor over to second. And then DeShields would ground out, and then Odor would end up on third. So now you had 2 outs with Odor on third base and Shin-Soo Choo up at the plate. and this is where we had controversy happen. This is what ended up happening on the at-bat. It was, I believe, a 2-2 count, and Shin-Soo Choo ended up getting hit by the relay throw by Russell Martin. So when Russell Martin was going to throw the ball back to the pitcher, Shin-Soo Choo stuck his arm out in front of him and got hit by the ball. That made the ball remain live, and so then the ball just kind of like dribbled down into foul territory. Odor, with a heads-up play, realizing the ball's live, comes across home, he runs in, and now the Rangers take the lead. This then became an issue. It was under review. The fans were going crazy. They were throwing stuff on the field, and I'll say justifiably so that they were upset, because I think it was a bogus call by the umpires. I think that Shin-Soo Choo should have been called out for interference, but instead they said that Odor was safe and that Shin-Soo Choo had not intentionally interfered, because the way the rule is that if the catcher hits the batter with the ball, throwing it back to the pitcher, and it is ruled that the batter did not intentionally get in the way, then the ball is live, and that would allow Odor to come in and score. The thing is, though, if you watch, and I watched it extensively, I mean, they showed it over and over and over on the replay and everything, but I went back, I watched every single pitch of the at-bat. I went back and watched Shin-Soo Choo's other at-bats in the game, and at no point in this game, not until Odor's on third base, and even in that very at-bat, not until he right then did the interference, did he make that same similar move in the batter's box. He purposely, like, you would have to think Shin-Soo Choo's a moron to not think that he intentionally interfered. He definitely interfered right here, without a doubt. Watch it over yourself if you don't believe me. Think about this for one. Odor's on third. Pretty sure Shin-Soo Choo knows Odor's on third. He also knows that if he can get the catcher to hit him with the ball, then Odor will score. You know what I mean? He knows this. So if you see in his previous at-bats in the game when there's not a runner on third, after every pitch, he gets back in the batter's box. Like, he pretty much steps out of the batter's box. He gets far away, gives the catcher plenty of room to throw the ball back on the relay throw. And that's the thing. If you even watch everybody gets out the way. Everybody's always getting out the way. They give the catcher plenty of space. But on this particular play, he took 1 foot and put it back, leaving his left foot still exactly where he was when he was, like, in his batting stance. So usually you would move your right foot back, then your left foot back, and then you do your little move, whatever you do. In this case, he was like pulling up his like arm sleeve that he had there, like his Under Armour thing or whatever, and he extended his arm fully with bat in hand in front of the catcher, which is definitely intentional interference, while keeping his left foot still in the same exact space that he was in the batting stance. He didn't move back out the way. He pretended like he was moving out the way when he moved his right leg back, keeping his left foot still planted while extending his left arm in front of Russell Martin. That is totally interference. At no time did he ever do anything even remotely close to that in any at-bat in this game, or even in that at-bat. After every other pitch of the at-bat, he takes 2 steps back and gets out the way. He backs away from the box, but then right there, now that it's getting deep into the count, he picks his spot, and he's like, all right, here, boom. Like, I really don't know how he's not called out there. And that's why I totally understand why the fans there in Toronto were upset, because that's cheating. They cheated, they got the run. The umps made a horrible call right there. Choo should be out. But anyways, 3-2 at this point. And so Choo ended up striking out. But now we would go to the bottom of the 7th. So that brought us to the 7th inning stretch. The fans were just going totally insane in Toronto. They were upset, and they had every right to be upset, in my opinion. And so, but the baseball gods made everything right in the bottom of the 7th. And that's what happens when the umps make bad calls like that. 9 times out of 10, the baseball gods will turn that thing back around. And that's what we saw in the bottom of the 7th. Russell Martin happened to be the first batter, and he ended up reaching on an error by Andrews. So Russell Martin, by all rights, he would have been out at first, but the baseball gods made Andrus make that error. Russell Martin safe at first. Now Pilar comes up. Pilar grounds into a fielder's choice, and once again the baseball gods make Moreland make a throwing error. What ended up happening is Russell Martin's running a second. Moreland decides to make a weird throw where he tried to hop the ball into Andrus's glove, so he threw the ball at the dirt. It bounces up. Andrus doesn't make the play, but it was an error on Moreland, a throwing error, as they tried to go for the double play. He could have easily gotten Pilar out at first, but he went for the double play, and so now we have 2 on, no outs, 2 errors in the inning. So Pompey would come in to run for Martin. Goins then came up, and he grounded into a fielder's choice as well, and he ended up safe on another error by Andrus. So now we had the bases loaded, 3 errors, 2 by Andrus in the inning. So again, just error after error. Right here, it should have been 3 outs. It would have been, the side would have been set down in order, except that the errors started happening. Like I said, you can attribute it to the baseball gods. Maybe you can attribute it to the energy of the fans in Toronto, all the excitement, just everybody going crazy. That got to the Rangers. They just buckled under the pressure, started making errors. But Revere came to the plate with the bases juiced now, and he would hit into a fielder's choice, but they would end up getting Pompey out at home. So he was out at home on the force out, but on the play with the force out, Pompey took out the catcher, and with taking out the catcher, he broke up the double play, so it was just 1 out. So they would actually talk about this too. They'd review this as well, and that's kind of a funny thing. They made the bad call with, the Shin-Soo Choo play there when he interfered and should have been called out. Instead, Odor scores. Now here we have, Pompey taking out the catcher on the other side, and so they actually ruled that no, that was a legit play. He was, if you watched him the whole way down third, he was in a straight line. Yeah, in his slide he does take him out, but he didn't go out of the way to do it. It's completely within the rules what he did. And so that was a legit play there by Pompey to break up the double play. And that would do it for Cole Hamels. So Cole Hamels was done for the night. And now we would have Sam Dyson come in to face Josh Donaldson. So Josh Donaldson now, he would end up hitting just this crazy little bloop hit over Odor's head into shallow right field, just past, to the right of second base, just past the infield. And it looked like Odor might have made the play. Odor, of course, is kind of short. Maybe if he was a foot taller, he could have made that play. But it dropped over his head. And even Revere thought he was going to make the play because he went back to first. Now he had to go back to second. Odor threw him out at second. But Pilar scored. And so now this game was tied. So you had Pilar come in on this bloop hit. Now you got runners on the corners as Goins advanced to third. Donaldson is at first, but Revere was called out at second because he thought Odor was going to make the catch, but he ends up getting forced out at second. So now you have runners on the corners. The game is tied up at 3 apiece. And who steps into the box? None other than Jose Bautista. And Jose Bautista turns around on an inside pitch and takes it deep 442 feet as he pulled that one out the freaking over the wall into the stands. Everybody's going crazy. It's a 3-run home run, and the Jays are now in the lead. The audio cut out right there, but yes, it was a 6-3 lead with that home run. Having some audio issues. I apologize for that. So with that home run, 6-3, now Encarnacion would come up to the plate, and he was trying to get the crowd to calm down, but Sam Dyson then decided, I'm just going to walk up to home plate and I'm going to get in Encarnacion's face, and now the bench is cleared. So both teams came out of the dugouts, and they were on the field. Everybody's going crazy, and so they actually ended up, early in the other inning, they ejected, some Blue Jays in the top half of the inning. Then here, the Rangers would get some fans ejected from the stands. It's crazy. The Rangers being poor sports, they cheated in the top half of the inning. Now you got Dyson talking trash because he let up a 3-run shot. Now you got the manager in the dugout snitching out fans and having them kicked out of the game. It's wow, what a bunch of poor sports the Rangers are. Of course, they tried to cheat to win, and so no surprise they're going to then start being poor sports when things turn around on them. But so Encarnacion would end up reaching on an infield single. Colabello got a single, but then Tulo would foul out, and that would do it for the bottom of the seventh. A crazy bottom of the seventh inning. A crazy seventh inning in general. In the top half of the inning, we saw that run given to the Rangers. It should have been an out, but then it didn't matter because in the bottom half of the inning, 3 errors by the Rangers on routine plays. And instead of being out the inning, it was bases loaded. And then they would end up seeing, Donaldson there and bringing in Pilar on that crazy bloop hit. And then that 3-run shot by Bautista. And it was now 6-3. So on the top of the 8th, Fielder would lead off with a single against Sanchez. Beltre would ground into a fielder's choice, and Fielder was out at second. The second time that happened to Fielder in this game. Moreland then walked, and that would do it for Sanchez as Osuna would come in to relieve him, and he would strike out Hamilton and Andros to end the inning. So now on to the bottom of the 8th, Jake Diekman in for the Rangers in relief of Dyson. He would set down the side in order as he got Navarro, Pilar, and Goins out as Navarro and Pilar flied out and Goins fouled out. So now to the top of the 9th, Osuna already having retired 2 batters in the top of the 8th with 2 strikeouts. Now is looking to record the final 3 outs of this game in this series clinching game to pick up the save and the series win in the ALDS to advance to the ALCS. And the first batter he would face would be Odor. He would line out. So now Napoli would pinch hit for Jimenez, and he would strike out. And then Venerable pinch hit for Stubbs, and Osuna got him to strike out as well. As this game came to a close, he got 4 strikeouts out of the 5 batters that he faced. He picks up the save, secures the 6-3 win as the Blue Jays take the series after being down 2-0 in the series and even 2-0 down in this game. They come back to win the series and this game, winning 3 straight after losing the first 2 at home, and they break the trend of the road team winning as the road team had won every game except this series clinching deciding game here in Toronto as the Blue Jays get their first win in the postseason at home. They win this series. They're moving on to the ALCS. This is 6-3 the final score. Sanchez gets the win and Osuna gets the save. Hamels gets the loss. And in this game, Stroman, quite the effort. 6 innings pitched, 2 earned off of 6 hits. He did allow that home run to Choo in the 3rd. He had 1 walk allowed, and he struck out 4. Sanchez, 1 1/3 innings pitched, no earned runs, 1 hit. He did allow 1 unearned run, and he had 1 walk and 1 strikeout. He gets the win. And Osuna, a huge performance with the 5 outs, pitching 1 2/3 innings, and he struck out 4 of the 5 He struck out 4 batters, and that was out of the 6 batters he faced. And out of the 5 outs he recorded, 4 of them were strikeouts. So a huge performance by Osuna, come up very clutch to close out this game and get the save in one of the biggest games in Blue Jays history. Definitely the biggest game in Blue Jays history this century. And for the Rangers, Hamels gets the loss. 6 1/3 innings pitched, 2 earned runs off of 4 hits. He allowed 5 runs total, 3 of them unearned, 2 walks and 8 strikeouts, and he allowed the home run to Encarnacion in the 6th. And then Dyson, 2/3 of an inning pitched, 1 earned run off of 3 hits. He allowed that 3-run shot to Bautista, but 2 of those runs were not charged to him. And so then Diekman comes in, pitches 1 inning, allowing no hits, no earned runs. But the Blue Jays batters coming up big, especially Bautista with that 3-run shot, 2 for 4, 4 RBIs in the game. He also had that RBI double earlier on. And then Encarnacion 2 for 2, 2 walks, 1 RBI. Donaldson 0 for 4, but he had an RBI. Revere 1 for 4. It was a crazy game. It really was. And that 7th inning was especially crazy. I went back over, Choo's at-bat and even his earlier at-bats and rewatched those as well to see what is his normal movements after a pitch, where does he, stand in the box? He always takes at least 2 steps back, if not 3 or 4. He never, ever leaves his left foot still planted in the same position where he had his batting stance. He didn't come out of his batting stance. That's the thing is, he took his right foot back, but he left his left foot planted there and then extended his left arm in front of Martin. It wouldn't have mattered anyway in the end, but let me know what you think either way in the comment section, whether you agree or disagree. Maybe you thought he wasn't interfering on purpose. Like I said, in my opinion, you would have to kind of think Choo's a moron to not understand that he was definitely interfering. Like, that was cheating. That was they're doing. Even when it was ruled that the play was, the Odor was safe at home, they were all like, yeah, it worked, yeah. They're like celebrating how that worked. You don't celebrate how something worked if you accidentally did it. Oh, we accidentally did that. We accidentally, cheated. Whoops. And it played out in our favor. But the Blue Jays end up coming up big in the bottom of the 7th, scoring those 4 runs. And like I said, the baseball guys or karma or the energy of the fans, whatever you want to call it, the Rangers end up getting 3 errors when it should have been 3 outs. I mean, those are routine plays. But instead, the bases were loaded. Donaldson ends up bringing in Pilar on that crazy blue pit. And then that 3-run shot by Bautista turned around on that one real quick. And the game changed just like that. So it was quite the exciting game, quite the exciting 7th inning. And what a finish, too, by Osuna with those strikeouts. 2 strikeouts in the 8th and then 2 strikeouts in the 9th to close it out. What a performance. And the Blue Jays win it in 5, moving on to the ALCS. Like I said, let me know what you think in the comments section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It's greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and have a great week and enjoy all the sports.